One Night in Vegas has been touring the country, bringing all the glitz and glamour of a real Las Vegas show right to your own doorstep. We went along to talk to creator and star performer Martyn Lucas to find out how he came to put this fabulous show together.
Well, yeah, I've been in entertainment all my life. I was very lucky because my parents were in the business. My mother supported Tommy Cooper back in the 60s, and my dad played the drums for the Victor Sylvester Dance Orchestra. So it's got the history goes right back. So I've been in entertainment since I was born, really. From the age of 4, I was on stage. Started as a cabaret entertainer, did my own thing, worked in the holiday parks and the hotels. That then branched, and I started to go around the world on cruise ships and so on. I did my own show at Euro Disney. That came off that. Then I won Stars in Their Eyes. It's going back sort of 10 years from now. And then I was lucky enough to get the part as the Phantom, which I've done in Vegas as well, which is a big highlight of my career. And then from that moment on, I thought, hang on a minute, I want to do my own show. I saw the film The Producers, a fantastic film, and I thought, I want to be a producer. I want to have the hat and the coat and the whole bit. So one day I woke up and thought, I'm going to do this for myself. You're either going to have to win a talent contest like X Factor or something and be lucky, or you do it for yourself. So I thought, I'm going to do it for myself. So I started by hiring our first theatre, put on a show, very small show, just me and a couple of girls, no band, no set, we had none of that at the time. And then it grew and grew and grew. Now it's been going 4 years, and it's now one of the largest one-night touring shows in the country. We've taken the show all over Europe and so on. And we've now got a fan base which is growing, and which is one of the things, the highlights I absolutely love, through Facebook and Twitter and all the different ways we can communicate. We even have live web link-ups on our website, so people can actually watch some of the shows live from home, sort of backstage, and see what goes on. And it's become a way of life now. We're always out on the road. And of course tonight we're at the Blackpool Grand Theatres, which is one of the most spectacular variety theatres in the world, and everyone knows the Blackpool Grand. We did it a few years ago when we first started, so I'm really, really happy to be back tonight with our much bigger show. We've got an orchestra now, big set, scenery, and it's really exciting.
Brilliant. Okay, so for anybody that hasn't seen it and hasn't heard about it, tell us a little bit more about the show One Night in Vegas.
Well, it all started when I met a magician called Daniel Dean, at the time was a British magical champion, and I knew of him. He worked in the holiday park where I was at that time, and we talked about doing a show, and we thought, what can we do? Now obviously the musicals was a big thing for me, having a Phantom and so on, but there were so many musical shows. Ultimately I wanted to do my own show. I wanted it to be One Night with Martyn Lucas, like it is with Michael Ball or Joe Longthorne, anybody like that. I wanted to do my own show, but I knew at this stage I hadn't established my name, and people probably wouldn't go if they saw a sign saying One Night with Martyn Lucas, because they'd say, who's Martyn Lucas? So we thought we had to give it a genre, a theme, an idea of what it was, but I didn't want it to be a tribute show. Definitely didn't want that. I wanted it to be myself, doing my own thing. And we knew we didn't want to be the musical, so Daniel mentioned Vegas, because he worked in Vegas a lot, doing magic and illusion. And I thought, that's it, One Night in Vegas. And it just came out. So when the show originally started, it was very musical and magic orientated. Daniel would do some magic, I would sing some songs, and so on. It was a bit of a variety show, which was okay, and it did quite well, but it was never really where I wanted the show to be. I wanted it to be a concert in my own right. So as the show developed and grew, me and Daniel decided that it had run its course with the magic. So Daniel graciously stepped aside and said, now it's time for you to go alone. At that point the orchestra came in, because we didn't have an orchestra with the magic, because it wouldn't have worked. So an orchestra came in. I was very lucky with the orchestra, because I met Andy Crompton, who's MD'd for Shirley Bassey and Michael Ball, and he's the co-partner for the British Philharmonic Orchestra. I couldn't have bumped in to a bigger contact. He was doing the Michael Ball concert in Bristol Colston Hall, and he heard about my show and said, what you need is an orchestra. I said, yeah, of course I do, but that's not going to come cheap, is it? And Andy believed in my show, and he's helped me get world-class musicians, working really hard for me. And I know that, at the time they could have done, they do much bigger things than my show, but they believed in me, and consequently I've had the support there, so the show's grown and grown, and now essentially it's become One Night in Vegas, which is myself singing with my orchestra, with my showgirls, and songs typically associated with Vegas. So you're going to hear Barry Manilow, Billy Joel, Elton John, Frank Sinatra, Bobby Darin. But it's not a Rat Pack show. It's not just that. It's New Vegas as well. Michael Jackson is in it. It is, as you know, in Vegas. So there's a big scene where Michael Jackson appears in the show. That's on the screen behind me. It's quite a special moment. Obviously, I bring the musicals in. Currently, we're doing Phantom and JC. They both run in Vegas, so we've used those in the show. So it's not the typical Rat Pack show. It's my concert, but it's very upbeat. People get up and dance in the show. We have Freddie Mercury, Queen, Don't Stop Me Now, and We Will Rock You. It's high energy. From one moment it's very passionate and it's Phantom of the Opera. Next minute it's Crocodile Rock with Elton John. It goes from traditional Vegas right up to modern day Vegas.
So there's something for everybody, really.
Absolutely, something for everybody. We find we get young children, young families, right the way through until 90-year-olds. Everybody's in our audience, and it seems everybody gets up and dances and gets involved with the show. It is a real fun party night out.
Right. And you also do a Christmas show as well, don't you?
Yeah, due to the success of One Night in Vegas, we always found that in December we weren't working because it was Panto season. It was like, unless you were a Panto, it wasn't going to work. And I thought, how am I going to do this? And other successful shows have a Christmas version of their show. And I thought, why can't we have the One Night in Vegas Christmas party? So that's what we've done. So it's going out for the first time this year. We've got revolving Christmas trees, snow, all sorts. And all the music is obviously Christmas themed. The choreography is Christmas, the costumes are Christmas. And the beauty of it is our fans who follow the Vegas show are just naturally migrating to the Christmas show. So it's going to be, I think, 2-week run all over the country non-stop. It's going to be great.
Brilliant. Okay. Going back a bit, you did Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
That's obviously a huge part for anybody to take on.
Yeah, absolutely.
How did it affect you doing it, and how did you prepare for it? Did you look at other people's versions of it? Did you decide to do your own?
To be honest with you, it was something that it's quite hard to explain, but it was also something I felt I naturally was meant to do, because I kind of, in a way, have lived my life till this point like the Phantom. That sounds a bit crazy because he lived, under a theatre and he was like tortured and all sorts. Well, clearly that's not happened to me. But the whole principle, the romance of it, and the music of it, and the passion of it, and the other sides of the story, other than the obvious things, was very much the way I lived my life. I thought, this is such a thing. I have to do this. So when it came up, it was just. Even now, my home is sort of. I've got my piano in the living room with my Phantom manuscript on the top and the red rose, and it's just for me was the only part I ever wanted to play, and I had to do it. So.
Right, so you've played the only part you wanted to play. You're now running your own show, which is obviously going very well at the moment. What sort of things would you like to do for the future? Would you like to move on to?
Well, the show is naturally becoming more and more obvious that it's my show, which enables me to do exactly what I want to do. So people are getting me rather than me try to do something else. I've now written my own song, which is now in the show. It got released last month on iTunes. I'm very excited about that, to have a proper worldwide release on iTunes, which people are downloading and telling us about and stuff, which is in the show. Anybody out there, it's called. And I want to do more of that. I'll do more of my own songs, very much like Michael Ball does. People like that, where they have their own feel to the show. So I just want the show to grow. I think where it is now is exactly where I want it. The way it looks and feels, the band and everything. Just to keep doing it. I mean, this is what I've committed my life to. This is all I do. I think this is what I was meant to do, and I feel like it's important in life to have a role and make something, for your life. It's not about money. It's not about glory. It's about how you feel inside. And this evening I'm at the Blackpool Grand. Every day we're at another theatre like this, and people have come. I always visualise it in the afternoon as I'm setting up the show now with all my crew and cast. I'm visualising Mr. and Mrs. Smith at home. She's doing her hair. He's organising the taxi, and I'm thinking they're doing that to come and see my show with their hard-earned money. And let's be honest, it's not cheap to come to the theatre today, and we have noticed across the country it's very difficult for everybody. People are suffering, as we are. We're finding it really difficult, especially with the fuel prices, a tour in the show and everything. But it just means so much. What a better thing to do than to put on a show in the most beautiful theatres in the world and have people come in to see you because they choose to do that. I want it to carry on for the rest of my life. This is it.
Brilliant. can't say more than that, can we? Have you got a question?
Yes.
Got a question.
It's fantastic to see someone as passionate as you are, obviously, about what you're doing, and it's very inspiring. Can you tell me if you had a particular role model, I mean, apart from your parents, as you were growing up?
Do you know, the funny thing, I haven't, because I've kind of always... sometimes things happen in my life, it's quite strange. I've just been totally and utterly one-track minded, and this is something I could visualise when I was a kid, when I was a teenager and I was singing in pubs and hotels. I always did this. Typically, you go into a pub and you'd be in a corner and everybody else had a little keyboard and 2 speakers. I'd go in with 6 speakers, lights, smoke machines, dancing girls. I wasn't paid for it. I just did it because it just felt right. I wanted to put a show on, make an effort, and didn't just turn up. Some people turn up in a car, turn up in a van with sign written and lights, and it's always been my way, and it has been a real struggle. Financially, it's been, because I've had no support from anyone. I did it all on my own. I didn't have any backing, sponsorship, government funding, nothing. And to set this show up cost me £250,000. I borrowed every credit card, I borrowed every penny from every member of family, remortgaged my house. Because I thought, well, this is what I've got to do, and if I don't do it, no one's going to do it for me. And it's been very difficult on the way, but as long as as long as the show can run and it pays everybody's wages to work for me, I would do it for free. And to be honest, very often do, because it's tough times out there, and it costs a lot of money to put on a show of this nature. And I wouldn't reduce it. I wouldn't make it smaller. It's got to be what it is, and that's it. And if it means I live on beans that week, I live on beans that week, because that night I'm at the theatre and I'm doing a wonderful thing. So I've got nobody that particularly inspires me. It's just something crazy inside that makes me do it. Don't ask me why. It's probably crazy, isn't it?
Easy listening on wireless radio. Easy listening on wireless radio. It's easy listening day or night on wireless radio. If you'd like a request or a dedication, just drop us a line via the contact form and we'll do the rest. All you have to do is keep on listening to